welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about challenges that we go through. And if you are a recovering alcoholic, how we get through those challenges without drinking, not only without drinking, but growing all the while. And sometimes I have a race against the clock because I'm cooking something. Well, today, our race against the clock is that I just got the low battery notification on my computer. So let's see what happens. Wouldn't that suck if I get all the way through and it's so inspiring and then I just lose? I lose all battery and I got to do it all over again. So, um, let's just dive right into it. This morning, we were talking in the meetings about, or what I heard was about like the unexpected roads that we have to go down and how we adjust that mindset to be more that it's the roads that we get to go down and not that we have to go down. And one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, I've been thinking about it a lot for the past couple of years, since I had my stroke, is that we had been planning on moving and we actually put a contract on a house a couple years ago, and it didn't happen for us. There was a lot of things working against us at the time. So we had pulled back and decided that we weren't going to go through with it, which I have never been in that situation before. And then the very next month, I got very, very sick. I got much worse. They think that I may have had uh, another mini stroke or something major happened in my brain, because that was when I ended up having to leave my job and become permanently disabled, losing my career, facing the realities that my life really did change 2 years prior to that when I had my stroke. And so I remember going to bed that night when we made the decision finally that we weren't going to go through with the house purchase. I remember doing my typical get on my knees and saying my prayers before I go to bed. And I said the normal, thy will be done, not mine. And I was thinking, there is a plan. I know that this happened for a reason. And I truly believed that. And I can't say that I've ever been in the situation where I actually believed there's something better. This all happened for a reason, and I just have to have faith. But I really did believe that. And after having gotten much sicker, right after that, it turned out that I was much closer to doctors than we would have been if we had moved. And I had better access to going to specialists in DC with MedStar Health at the Washington Hospital. And now we're back on that home search again. And we are pretty excited about a house, and it's a better house. It's a bigger house than the one that we had originally been looking at. And our needs for the house also changed. So now that I can't leave, I can't drive. I mean, I can leave, but it's more difficult for me to leave the house, and I can't drive and I can't walk long distances. This house is providing much more space inside to do all of these millions of hobbies that I had. And what I was thinking of, and I shared this morning, was that sometimes life like takes me down this gravel road that I don't want to walk down. It's scary. It doesn't look like it goes anywhere. I'm getting pebbles in my shoes. I have to keep stopping to dump the pebbles out of my shoes. I'm frustrated. But when finally the trees break and I see where the path is leading, it's like the freaking land of Oz is in front of me. And I couldn't have planned it better. So trying to not let the path that I'm on stop my perseverance to keep walking. So that perspective and the understanding that the way that I respond to what's going on today, the way that I dump the pebbles out of my rocks, dump the pebbles out of my shoes, the way that I keep trudging forward, that course correction when I start feeling discouraged and my perspective seems to be a little bit more disappointed in so many things around me instead of feeling like, oh, there's a reason, there's a reason for all of this. There's a reason for the season, all of this stuff. Um, I keep trying to be reminded to do things like course correct and adjust my perspective. And the only way that I can do that is if I keep going to meetings and sharing about what I'm feeling. And I know from my program that I get to choose my feelings. I do. I get to like I can be my psychiatrist told me and I'll never forget this. This psychiatrist that I'm going to now told me, we're really complex creatures and we have the ability to be scared and happy at the same time. We have the ability to be angry and hopeful at the same time. So I know, like with these complex feelings, that my choices are what feeds those feelings. And I have a choice today that even though I feel like isolating, I can still see that there is hope if I go to support meetings and I get to choose what I'm going to do, what my behavior is in order to feed the feelings that I want to feel and in order to have that gravel road lead me towards the land of Oz instead of towards the witch's scary place. So it reminds me of course, what was came up in my sobriety meeting is when we have hard stuff happen, that drinking is not a solution. Again, it's a choice. And it's a choice that I didn't know I had back when I was drinking actively. But I know today that drinking is not even on the table. I used to use it as a solution. It's not a solution. It doesn't cross my mind. Um, I am still cautious about it, making sure that they say that a relapse happens far before you pick up the drink, and that's why I need to choose the behavior that's going to feed the feelings that are going to keep me away from the ditch. Being I'm on the path and drinking is in the ditch. I'm choosing the feelings that keep me on the path and keep me away from the ditch. And no matter how far I go down that path, I'm always going to be just as far from the ditch as I was when I was 1 week sober. And I acknowledge that and I'm careful about it. And that's why I go to my meetings every day. That's why I'm so freaking passionate and um, determined every day because I don't want to fall into the ditch. Um, a memory came to mind today in the meeting. We had a little introduction to the St. Francis prayer, and I remember this most often when I say the St. Francis prayer at the end of my sobriety meetings, is that I learned the St. Francis prayer in my sorority. And the first time they said it in one of our ceremonies, I I never even heard of it. I never even heard of it, and nor did I know how it went. So my sorority actually taught me the St. Francis prayer. And to this day, like every meeting in sobriety, we end with the meetings that I go to, we end with the St. Francis prayer. And it's the one thing post stroke that I don't have to think about to try to remember the words. I am on autopilot and I can just open my mouth and it'll just come out. And that's really cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. That just came to mind today. And then the meeting was talking about relationships, a little bit about relationships and feeding and nurturing relationships. And I thought of it as very related to this idea of feeding my feelings because love is one of those feelings. And I get to make choices today that either nurture and feed my relationships, showing up for other people or isolating. And back when I was drinking, the reading said this morning I was unlovable. I don't think I was unlovable, but it was probably much more difficult to love me when I didn't love myself. And somebody said something this morning about feeling herself. She's been grieving for over a year now from the loss of her husband. It's been very, very sad. But she continues to like lean strongly into her fellowship and her faith and she shared today that she's starting to feel herself coming back to life. And that was absolutely beautiful to me. I have a scratch in my throat. It's getting hard for me to talk. It was beautiful for me to hear that because I've been listening and wishing there was something that I could do to help her on this journey that she's on. But what I can do is learn something from the journey that she's on and see that um, it gives me hope, and knowing that no matter how low that we can get, there is always life that's going to be able to come back. I'm able to start to nurture the feelings and feed the feelings that I want to have. It just is going to take time sometimes, it's difficult. And if I can practice also gratitude for the people that are in my life, I have to confess there's a lot of times that I'm thinking of, I get sad about losing the people that are in my life and they're still here. It's interesting because years ago, I guess I've always done this, but before I went to college, I had these kinds of thoughts that I was thinking about. Um, I was super sad thinking about a guy that what if he died or something like that? Or what if he was gone? And how sad that would be. And then it's that guy who ended up dying in the motorcycle accident. And I realized that I was spending time being sad about losing him before he was lost, if that makes sense. Side note, yes, it is weird that I thought that about him and then he died because this other friend of mine who passed away about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I thought the same thing. I was driving to work one day and I was coming down into Leesburg on the highway, and I thought, and I think I even whispered it, he's gonna die. And I know that sounds weird, but I knew that he was an alcoholic, And it just struck me, he's going to die. And he did. I know it's weird. I don't know. Think of it what you may. But what I want to do is be grateful for people while they're here and stop thinking that stuff. I don't know. I don't know if this is all coming together in one comprehensive message, but it's just like, what am I feeding? How am I feeding my feelings? And am I learning how to love, or am I standing still? And a lot of that was coming up this morning when I was listening to the meeting about it was talking about, this is the first meeting, it was talking about being able to love better if we get rid of the anger underneath. And I don't feel a lot of anger, but I do feel a lot of other character defects. I feel a lot of depression and anxiety. And when I can manage that with the tools in my program, I can love better. And with that, I wanted to take a special moment to say happy birthday to my mom. She is not a listener, I don't think, but if she's listening, I want to tell you I love you so much, Mom, and happy birthday. And she is certainly someone that I have tried so hard to love better than I did back when I was drinking and nurture our relationship. And I feel like I do so much better at it than I used to be. My relationships are deeper. And although I've always felt like I've been honest with my family, I don't have this internal battle going on inside my head. Now it's just a quiet love that I get to enjoy, and I get to show up for the people that I love. Um, so, perseverance, loving better, course correction. I think what I wanted to really communicate today, and I'll end with this before I run out of battery, that every setback that I have faced is not the universe saying, no, you're never going to have what you want. It could be that what I want, there's a better plan, right? There's a better plan. Every pebble in the gravel road is actually a lesson. And a lot of times, man, I believe this more and more. The more difficult things are, the more that I love, the more that I'm grateful, the more that I become willing to do things that are harder. And I'm no longer like just surviving. I'm growing and I'm healing and I'm building an environment around myself, and hopefully an environment around the people I love that allows them to grow and heal and love. So that's what I've got. We made it through. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.